Good morning, one and all present here. On the last day of the presentations on PhD coursework, I am going to explore my presentation on studying Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island through the lens of digital cartography. Here is the roadmap as I'm mapping the literary text itself of my presentation, followed beginning from research questions, introduction to the novel and digital cartography, and mapping the literary text itself through the use of Google My Maps and Google Earth, and the journey of gun merchant, the use of digital map and how it became how it became important, crucial in terms of understanding the literary text and unfolding layer within it and concluding it. Here are some of the research questions when we consider digital literary cartography. That can we experience a novel or any literary text through digital lenses? What happens when we apply mapping to the literary text, especially as I'm considering Gun Island by Amitav Ghosh? Can it help interpret the multiple layers of meaning embedded within them that we cannot even find while reading the novel itself? And how can it provide new insights into their thematic concerns, like in Gun Island, climate, migration, human trafficking, and all? Here is the introduction of digital cartography itself and the novel of Amitav Ghosh, Gun Island. Like we used maps in our day-to-day lives to navigate the places we are going through, various destinations. So it becomes very helpful to navigate the places in our day-to-day lives. Similarly, like map is a very useful tool to navigate and visualize the locations. Similarly, digital mapping tools enables us to analyze literary works. Why Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island as the study of literary, like through the literary cartographic lens? Because it presents an expansive depiction of places, journeys that weaves together myth and migration and so many things together. I have used Google My Maps and followed by Google Earth as it is interlinked with Google My Maps only to map my literary text Gun Island. Well, let's have a short introduction to digital literary cartography. Well, the cartography is a science of map making that uses spatial theories, where place becomes the carriers of meaning, carriers of cultures and other identity things. Lefebvre's concept of production of space, how place is produced, and all these concepts become essential while mapping all the literary texts, as we need to locate some of the places at certain places and try to see the connections between that. Amitav Ghosh's Gun Island, which was published in 2019, is having a protagonist named Dinanath Datta, known as Dean, is a dealer in rare books who is living in Brooklyn and coming to Calcutta at his native place. And there he heard about the myth of Mansa Devi and gun merchant by one of his cousins, Kanai Dutt. And this journey pushes him to explore the mythical journeys of the gun merchant, explored through the real life locations and incidents in the back in the 70th century. In the novel, there are real life migration journey of people living in Bengal Islands due to the climate crisis, and similarly, there is the mythical journey of Banduki Sadgar or gun merchant. The novel explicitly describes the human trafficking at Venice in the past days as well, in the back in the 70th century, and even the present time of the novel as well. And that challenges to the life there. Apart from the migration of people, human trafficking, there is the migration of people, migration of animals as well due to the climate crisis. The novel blurs boundaries between legends and reality, suggesting how migration is an enduring part of human history. And this is the whole aspect that makes the Gun Island very interesting text and very crucial text to be looked at through the cartographic lenses. Novel presents a vast scope of analyzing locations as Dinanath Datta, the protagonist, embark on an unexpected journey after encountering the shrine of Mansa Devi in the islands of Sundarbans. He was not initially tend to go there, but with the insistence of Kanaidat and Nilima and Nirmal, he went there, and this is how the journey marked. There are multiple journeys also described in the novel of gun merchant Lubna Khala and her husband Munir, Tipu and Rafi, Palash, as Palvoskaya argues that maps are not neutral but are shaped by cultural, historical, and political contexts as well. So, all the aspects can be met together, and there is a role of cultural memory this that is connected to the places. Here I have tried to map the journey of gun merchant, that we'll see also in the map as well. This is a single journey of gun merchant from the islands of Sundarbans to Venice, ghetto of Uh, in the novel, there is the gun merchant refuses to become the devotee of Mansa Devi, and which begins his exile as he relentlessly followed by the divine wrath of Mansa Devi. He travels from Sundarbans, where he first denies Mansa Devi to become his devotee, to his eventual journey across the Mediterranean or Indian Ocean and beyond that to the Venice. Each location he visits is marked by sign of the goddess's presence, and even in the present time of the novel, when the characters are moving, there are these marks are also there of the various wrath that was presented by Mansa Devi to make the gun merchant her devotee. Like spiders, snakes coming to the Venice due to climate crisis, and reinforcing the idea that this his travel are not entirely his own choice, but rather dictated by the fate. Parallel to the contemporary migration due to climate change and socio-political issues. Here is the map uh, of I have created. Let me navigate through the map. Uh, this map is not openable in the institutional ID, so I'll have to uh, open it in my personal one. Here I have tried to put some of the parts of the novel in the mapping Google My Map. Like it allows us to put the color as well, various landmarks. Here, as I was like telling yesterday as well, that some of the locations are arbitrary, and there is not certain clear cut descriptions given, so it becomes very difficult to place that like locate the place at certain points. Like here, what is it, areas affected by cyclone, so here are some of the coastal areas till this point that can be affected by. So in the Sundarban, these are the areas that are frequently hit by the cyclone, and this is that what makes the migration of people, because Sundarban is like day by day is drowning due to that, and diving into the ocean itself. Like this Google like maps allow us to put the images and along with the descriptions as well to see the things. uh, the river becomes the like if we touch on the line, there is this we can also see the description as well. The this river becomes like is a part, or it is a line that draws sort of partition of Bangladesh and West Bengal. And after independence, or during the case of novel, this river become crucial part, because from here the illegal migration starts, as Tipu embarks on that as well, who is trying to make people flee from the islands of Sundarbans and moving towards other parts of the world. Like the journey of Tipu from Sundarbans to Dhaka, and from that uh, to Germany, then to Yugoslavia, and from there the journey goes on. And in this journey they are facing some of the climate crisis as well, political crisis as well. As we can see the journey of gun merchant, who is transported from Sundarbans, where during that period, the delta of Sundarbans or the areas near to Dhaka were under the rule of Portuguese, and Portuguese made that our merchant to the captured and several people in the Bay of Bengal and sold them in Goa, the capital of Portuguese Empire in Asia and key hub of Indian Ocean slave trade. And from there, our gun merchant is accompanied and fled away with Nakhuda Ilyas to the Maldives of Goa. But here also there is this they acquire cargo of uh, cowrie shells, and they went to trade it in the Egypt. In the Egypt as well, they do not make their way, so they need to, due to the general crisis, they left out Egypt, political, socio-political reason, and they came to Istanbul. And from that place they went to Sicily. This is this Shikul Dweep, as it is mentioned in the novel, the land of chains. And from that they make their way to Venice, which is the island within island, no referred in the novel, Gun Island itself. So the novel places it that this is gun merchant is not the merchant, is not a merchant of gun, but the merchant who went to Venice. Parallelly with the narrative of or the journey of this gun merchant, there are multiple journeys by the characters like of Munir, Tipu, and Rafi. In the case of Tipu and Rafi as well, Tipu was the one who was helping people to illegally migrate to the places, and they are going to Venice. As the Venice becomes the part of the world where so many migratory people came to make their fortune, but unfortunately they didn't make their way at that place as well. So there are different layers that we can identify through the mapping of the texts. uh, Dhaka, the journey of Munir, yeah, and here in that journey also there are the journey of Tipu and Rafi. Tipu and Rafi also get parted away while making their way, like they are facing storm, they are facing other hazards of people. And after in the end of the novel they are making their way as our protagonist of the novel Dinanath Datta also follows the same journey. So this is how the places can be mapped, and this can be viewed through Google Earth as well in all the ways, like all the journeys. However, the routes are a bit complicated to understand. Also, some of the places description is not as a whole given by Amitav Ghosh. Maybe there was no need to do it, but this is how it can be seen. Let me be back to my presentation. Well, there are this interconnectedness of migration from like 17th century gun island journey, gun merchants journey from Bengal to Venice to parallel modern migrations in Gun Island. Characters like Tipu, Rafi, Rubna Khala, Munir, and Palash migrate due to economic, like this Rafi and also Munir. They fled away from the Dhaka, or we can say Bengal, islands of Sundarbans, due to the climate crisis or economic and political crisis. Places like Goa, Istanbul, and Venice continues to serve as a sites of refuge and conflict across the history. There is this human and ecological migration going together in the novel. Uh, Here are some of the pictures that can help us to understand the, or we that can add meaning to the exploration of mapping. The role of digital mapping, which serves reveals spatial patterns in migration and history's cyclic nature. There are different colors are used to distinguish routes and locations, adding comprehension. We can clearly identify which color journey of which character is that. Clicking on interactive map element provides access to migration routes, descriptions, and embedded images. Visualizing recurring themes like Dinanath Datta's encounters with Bengali immigrant in Venice mirrors the gun merchant's journey. Migration patterns illustrate the persistence of displacement and resilience over time. The shrine of Mansa Devi is also symbolically connected human and animal migration, as Mansa Devi as said or explored in the novel by Amitav Ghosh, that is following of a gun merchant to Venice. And even in the novel as well, Giacinta also faces the snake bite at, or she like observes or sees snake at the beach of Venice. Digital mapping as an interactive experience. It allows us to have an interactive experience. Map markers and lines allows us to like users to taste migration routes and access the detailed description. Use of color and visual differentiations. Mapping historical and ecological recurrence within the novel itself. Thematic insights through digital visualization. Ecological human migrations are intertwined and reinforcing the novel's central themes. Even Mansa Devi's shrine also connects human displacement to environmental shift. Even in the novel, also, this a shrine of Mansa Devi is saying that if the character, the protagonist, will not visit the place, it will be drawn. And when they are visiting the place or the shrine of Mansa Devi, it was a bit drawn as well. Like why digital mapping is crucial to this research. Mapping allows us for dynamic visualization of migration patterns and ecological shift. Also, it acts of digital the act of digital mapping redefines literary analysis, offering a novel way to see the novel itself. Like while exploring this or mapping the literary text, I came to the thing that there are multiple routes that need to be explored within the narrative through the mapping, including human and animal migration, its interconnectedness in terms of climate crisis and other reasons as well. So all that connected migration through adding the layers can be traced together and tried to look at, decode the cultural geography and thus cartography itself, detailed analysis of cultural and climate, human migration together, and socio-political aspects. Moreover, digital the mapping tool I have used in this in creating this visual map in this presentation is Google My Map, or we can say Google Earth. But I'm also intending to explore more such platforms such as Story Map JS. But at the initial stage, I there are certain technical aspects that I'm facing, problems that I'm facing right now. But hopefully in the future, I'll be with some of the tools that can give me more space to explore these narratives in a more explicit and interesting ways. So this is all about my presentation. Here are some of the references, and this is all. And now I am open for questions.
Okay, have you given this animal migration also in the mapping?
No, sir.
This was only human.
Only.
Animal you have mentioned in the last slide,
yes.
But still mapping is not done.
Done, yeah.
Because that also is interesting to see when you also try to see ecological concern. So how the animal by sea route also migrate, and how the novel try to talk about it.
Due to the climate crisis.
Climate
and
crisis.
Reasons as well.
Hmm.
Human interference in my this climate as well.
Okay.
Sir, because like when I was adding the layers to it, there was some difficulties I was facing, technical aspects. I was adding the layers, but it was not reflected on the map. So I'll have to try to see the things. How can I do that? Because there are this ArcGIS as well. So with this ArcGIS and Story Map JS, I'm exploring right now. So I just took help from Google or Google My Map only, because it is easy to navigate, but it does not provide, or it is not contenting me that this is what I want to present in the map. So this is what happening. Yeah.
Tools also regarding that, or you have to merge in your own manner, that how you can edit the image file.
Yes.
And put the things.
Uh, well, digitization, digital humanities, and emotions. Uh, as I have studied that digital and humanities both are very contradictory terms, and in terms of representing the emotions, it becomes the difficult terms. But digital cartography is not just about drawing the conclusion; it is more about drawing the interpretation of the text. So what are your views upon digitization of characters? Characters may not be digitized in the sense in mapping, when we are considering the mapping, as we are trying to locate their actions and try to see their activities in the novel and how it can add to the whole of the narrative, and try to understand the layers that one cannot identify through the reading of the novel.
Trushali, my question is, what are the limitations can be found when the cartography of literary text is done?
Yes, so like there are so many limitations when we are dealing with digital literary cartography, or let's say literary cartography itself. Like there are writers who will use the imaginary characters, places such as Thomas Hardy's Wessex, or even Arkanarayan's Malgudi. And even if we are taking it in the consideration of Gun Island, where Amitav Ghosh has presented and located their characters at the real life locations. However, there are some of the locations that are not even like available on the maps. So while these challenges can be limitations can also be overcome by looking at the whole narrative itself, but there are certain limitations of placing that location at certain place as well. Moreover, there are unclear description of places, and those are not found on the map as well. So but it can be overcome. uh, Other part is emotions, as Nilay has just mentioned. It cannot also be presented but interpreted in that sense.
Does the digital cartography enhance readers' experience of the any particular text, or is it more useful to academicians or analytical tool?
For both, digital literary cartography is very much important. Let's say if we take it in a reader's experience of reading Gun Island, while reading any literary text as literary text itself, uh, there are certain roots, certain characters, and certain places that are interlinked. We cannot identify it in a more explicit and more interesting way, the way digital mapping tools or digital literary cartography can give the understanding by looking at it, by experiencing it. And like it's not just about literary cartography. When it is coming to digital literary cartography, it is a more we can say an interesting or engaging tool. While zooming it, while clicking on multiple layers, icons, we can experience it. So it is not just a mere academic or analytical tool, but rather it gives reader as well a sort of other interpretation that cannot be grasped or acquired during reading the literary text itself. So it is for both important, and it can be interesting in terms of readers experience as well, in terms of academic analytical tool as well.
So we will have to see. Let me share this research about human migration as well as the animal birds specifically, the migration, which is already done by other researchers. How they are mapping, how they trace the mapping of this, what tools they use for this all things, and how the literary representation of such migration support the same thing. This all is already done, and people are doing lots of research on migration of birds. Mapping is also being done in different ways. So this research also will help that when you find a problem in how to do. So this study will give you an idea that how they are doing, what way they are mapping the migrations. Birds specifically is being done in a very interesting manner. So they use satellite and various technology to do this. And then human trafficking also. Lots of mapping of this is real data of human trafficking. And then you will see in your literature, but you will get some idea that how people are doing, what tools they are using, what way they are mapping the thing. So the problem that you face can also be sorted out in this manner. Okay, so we are joined by Dr. Kalyan Chattopadhyay also, in case he has anything to say. Dr. Kalyan Chattopadhyay, would you like to say anything?
No, I must congratulate the presenter because she was actually referring to a very interesting idea, but at the same time, if you have an experience of Sundarbans, or if you have an experience of human migration in Sundarban, also animal migration, animal meaning even the snakes, they travel far and wide from one places to another. If you look at the whole thing that Amitav Ghosh is dabbling with, for example, he's first dabbling with the fable of Manasa. Now, this has meaning a very well-known legend in Bengali and also in Assam, particularly in Bengal and Assam, in Orissa a bit too. That Chand Sadagar, that means who is the gun merchant, Banduki Sadagar. So Chand Sadagar was a devout follower of Lord Shiva, and then he was not ready to pay respects to Manasa, so the goddess, and so she had her revenge, and then his son Lakhinder was actually killed by a snake bite. Now, if you look at all these stories, these are not the focus of Amitav Ghosh. Actually, he is using these legends to counter two things. First of all, if you go back to Hungry Tide, which is also written in Sundarban, and if you look at Hungry Tide, and if you use digital cartography, you will see I can now imagine, or I can visualize a bit how the movements or cross movements of both the rivers and the oceans take place. Because if you come to a one point in Sundarban, you will see the island and the rivers, they are actually coming together. Now, so that opens up the route to different kinds of migration for economics, migration for social, political issues. And then there is another myth which he has not talked about, but which is about the Marathas. The Marathas used to come in large numbers to Bengal, and they used to loot and then go back. So there was a sense of dread, right? The sense of dread. So when you talk about the snakes, there is a sense of dread. The snakes will bite. So the Manasa as a goddess actually gets a kind of place, becomes a kind of a household goddess in the particularly in the forest areas or in the river beds, simply because of the dread that is in the minds of people, that I may die because of the snake bite. And if Manasa is somehow unhappy with me or is somehow upset with me, then my family will be destroyed because of snake bite. So that is the kind of a consciousness these people have, right, in the mind. And then it is intertwined with the kind of another dread that is of gun. Okay, that is another thing. So you will have two maps. One is the kind of an animal migration, another is the human migration, and both are actually taking place of the dread. So you go back to Hungry Tide, and I will also ask you to go back to also The Great Derangement, Climate Change and Unthinkable. It's a non-fiction book which was written by Amitav Ghosh, perhaps in 2015 or 2016. Please check. There he tries to talk about the uncanny predicament under delinquent and deranged modes of political and socio-economic organizations. So I would say that Amitav Ghosh was trying to answer these questions that he himself raised in Great Derangement. And while doing that, he is actually dabbling with a number of legends, right? Although the legends are not his focus, he's dabbling with them in both in Hungry Tide, also in this particular novel you are talking about. So when you do digital cartography, I'm sure you will look into all these aspects. And I must say it's very insightful and also technologically very rewarding, how technology can be used to read a literary text. So basically by literary text we mean we read it for pleasure. We talk about emotions, drama, human empathy and everything. But when you apply technology and you take the emotion out of it, what do you see? You see how the imagination of the author travels. So you basically you are able to visualize the actually the chart or the map of the imaginative map of the authors. So that is something very rewarding. Sometimes, as you have said very correctly, that is not that viable, meaning sometimes there are places and other things, they have no locations because they are mythological, they are meaning or maybe they are non-existent. This is just products of Amitav Ghosh's own imaginations, or a writer or author's or novelist's imagination. But then we are able to map it out. We may say that this portion is actually something that we can geographically situate, and these are the points that we cannot geographically connect or historically or socially connect. So how these two diverse modes are actually put together in a novel, that can be illuminated by digital cartography. Dilip.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Kalyan, for joining also and giving a very interesting feedback. Dr.
Okay,
Kalyan
thank you.
Chattopadhyay
My
is from
pleasure.
West
My pleasure.
Bengal, Kolkata. So this is a regional text for him also. And he is very much interested in digital humanities, digital culture. He's doing a lots of work since many years, decades on ICT and English language teaching also. So thanks a lot, Dr. Kalyan, for joining. And I will share the contact details in case she requires some more help to know some regional dynamics, like the
Yes.
story of Mansa Devi, how the people, the local people
Yeah,
lives in and
you
maybe
can.
they contact you also
Yeah,
for that. Yeah?
she
Thanks a lot
can.
for joining us. Thanks.
She can pay a
So
visit to
with this
Sundarbans.
comment, we end our live stream here. Thank you, everybody. Thanks.